Hi, everybody. I'm Chicago psychic and intuitive consultant, Mel Doerr, the Aloha Short Psychic. Welcome to my YouTube channel. It's cold in Chicago today. We had a snowstorm yesterday, another one today. The furnace at my office condo went out on Friday, and so they couldn't get a brand new unit to go on the roof until today. So in the midst of a snowstorm, I drove to my office and there was a crane out front. It's kind of exciting to see them lift that big unit on the roof and have it repaired. So thank goodness we're back in business. We have heat. You never know how much you miss something until you don't have it. Anyway, I was really excited to have Kevin on my show last week. Hi, Kevin. Shout out to Kevin. And Kayla on my show Friday, I think it was, or Saturday. And hi to Kayla. Thanks all of you all for supporting them. They're newer to our YouTube community, and I'm sure they appreciate your kindness and support. I did a YouTube video earlier on today with Linda Grindle, and she's going to be on my show next Monday. We alternate Mondays. There is a few things I did want to discuss. When I did the video with Kevin, I commented that somebody had criticized me for saying, a lot. And somebody put in the comment section that Eleanor, that she had sent me a wonderful letter and that she wasn't criticizing me, it was meant to help. And Eleanor, I did receive your email. Thank you so much for that email. It was kind, it was caring, gave me some good pointers. But I was not referring to you. I was referring to someone who put up a very negative comment that was very nasty, that said I should not be on YouTube because I wasn't professional and criticized my speech patterns. So I was referring to that person. It was not referring to you, Eleanor. So I probably should have been more specific about to whom I was referring. Eleanor, thank you for your wonderful email. I really appreciate it. But please, if you thought I was referring to you, I apologize. I was not. The other thing is somebody sent a comment in the section that said, I laugh too much. Well, there was one person that was really kind and caring, and she said that she loves the show, but I laugh too much, but she meant it to be positive. And I was not referring to her at all. But somebody in the comment section left a comment that my laughter, how did it say, that I was not funny at all, that my laughter creeped them out, and that I was rude because I talked about one psychic while another one was on my show. That's who I was referring to. So I deleted that comment. So from this point on, any negative comments I get, I will not bring up because I don't want people to think that I'm referring to the wrong person. I always appreciate and welcome your comments, your criticisms, as long as they're positive. But when things get really negative and nasty, that I won't tolerate. So I really want to thank all of you for supporting my YouTube channel. I just can't imagine how exponentially this has grown, and I want to say thank you. I am appreciative. And there's an I apologize. But what can I say except thank you to all of you. So from this point on, I really won't bring up any negative comments at all. I will just delete them. It's that simple. Okay, there's a lot to talk about today. I just want to get that out of the way. So Eleanor, please, once again, I apologize. I was not referring to you. Boy, there's so much going on, right? Linda and I talked about this on her program this morning, that Bill Barr was called to testify to the January 6th commission. And I said on Linda's show, and I'll say it here, that he is cooperating and he will cooperate even further. I think they'll make public some of his testimony. I don't think he's going to do the double talk that he's done before, I think before, when he was questioned about certain things, I'm not talking about the January 6th commission, I'm talking about in front of Congress, he had to be very careful, because if he didn't tell the truth, they could come after him for lying to Congress. So this time, my feeling is he'll be completely honest. So now this is probably old news, but the fact that the Supreme Court didn't allow Trump to block the National Archives from sending the documents to the January 1 commission. And so I think, boy, those documents at some point will be made public. And my gauge show me that those documents will reveal a very wide-ranging plot. Very wide-ranging. I feel that involving many higher ups in the Trump administration and some key Republicans that were engaged in that plot to overthrow the election. And really, it was insurrection. I'm looking to the side because I'm looking at my notes. You know, this was all done under the guise that the election was fraudulent, Trump's big lie. And it's been proven that what Trump said is absolutely not true. The documents my guides show me will also reveal that Trump and his cronies attempted to use different branches of the government, legislative, judicial, and executive, and officials of those branches to overturn the election and to cover it up. So there's going to be so much coming out. It's going to make the Nixon years look like a Cinderella story. I think the documents will also go further on to reveal about the draft that Trump supposedly made to seize voting machines. And as a result of all of this, at some point, I see the appointment of a special prosecutor to investigate, indict, and convict, well, can't convict, but to take to court many of these perpetrators that tried to overturn the election. A lot of those people like Mark Meadows and Steve Bannon, who have been subpoenaed and refused to follow the subpoenas, they have been, I think, indicted. And what they're trying to do is run out the clock. Like Bannon kept saying, you know, that they wanted to wait before they brought it to trial. And finally, they're going to bring it in July. But the reason that Trump was trying to run out the clock, and a lot of those people that were called to testify, what they're trying to do is just delay, thinking that in the midterms that the Republicans will take back over the House. And if they do, their thought is that the Republicans will just disband the committee. But I don't see the committee going away anytime soon. I see it in place even after the midterms. So I see a special prosecutor. My guides also show me that when Trump left office, he ordered many of the high-ranking people in his administration to destroy documents pertaining to the election and to people being complicit in trying to overturn the election. In fact, they showed me this big drum with a big fire, and there's just all these papers going in that big drum of fire. So, you know, I don't know if they could get him for destroying evidence, but, you know, just more and more is going to keep coming out. Now, we all know that Ivanka has been invited to testify, but my guides show me that she won't. But if she does, and I seriously doubt that she will, she won't answer the questions. My feeling is they'll need to subpoena her to get her to testify. But I think the documents reveal that she did, however, ask her father to stop the insurrectionists on January the 6th. But, you know, Linda Grindle brought up a good point today, and I agree with Linda. She said that I'm having a senior moment. She said that what will happen is, she thinks anyway, that they'll get some things on Ivanka, and they'll say, okay, you work with us, and then we won't take what we know about you any further. And I happen to agree with that. Those weren't the exact words Linda said, but we shall see. Oh, Newt Gingrich. Newt. He's at it again. You know, when he was Speaker of the House, he had the gall to impeach Bill Clinton. Now, I'm not saying Bill was an angel. Had the gall to impeach Bill Clinton for the thing with Monica Lewinsky and supposedly the cover-up. And at the same time, he was having an affair on his wife, I think, who had Alzheimer's or something. And so the hypocrisy and the double standards never ceases to amaze me. I heard him on a certain news channel whose name I will not mention. We'll just call it the station with the license to lie. Newt said that all members of the January 6th committee should be treated as criminals. He said that they should be put behind bars, and he compared them to a lynch mob. I wonder what planet he's on, because it ain't seeming like it's this one. He said the Republicans should threaten the committee members with jail time, and that the committee members are running over the law, pursuing innocent people for no justifiable cause. Oh, really, Newt? So you call inciting an erection, inciting a riot, sorry, that was a Freudian slip, inciting a riot to try to overturn an election, to do all this illegal stuff to overturn a legitimate election where no fraud was committed. You call that legal? So, Newt, who is really breaking the law here? I don't think it's the commission. I think it's the Republicans that supported the insurrectionist and to help plan it. Newt, you got your facts wrong there, buddy. Anyway, he also said that when Republicans are in control of Congress, this will all come crashing down, and the people on the committee will might face a risk of jail time for the laws they're breaking. What laws are they breaking? Again, they haven't broken any laws. The insurrectionists did. The people that plotted it did. They were trying to overthrow the government. Whoa. The only criminals, as I said earlier, on January the 6th were the thugs and the higher up in the Trump administration. In my opinion, my guides tell me, including the Donald, that tried to illegally overturn an election. Newt, what happened to the honesty and integrity of certain members of the Republican Party, and to yours, Newt? Don't think it's there, buddy. My guides tell me your political career is over, and the only reason you perpetuated this lie is because you're paid big money by certain media outlets to go along with the false narratives. So, you know, here again, the January 6th commission is going to prove that Trump's big lie is just that, a lie, and it's going to really uncover a lot more. Now, I've said this before, my guides have shown me also that the Mueller report will come to forefront again. And Linda and I talked on this about this on our show this morning, that Linda had a feeling that at some point it'll come out through various sources, reliable sources, that Trump really didn't win fair and square in 2016. And it seems like there's going to be a lot of higher ups in government at that time that will come out and say that he really didn't win legally. So we'll see. But Linda feels that at some point his presidency will be overturned, as do I. I asked my guides about that. They gave me this big yes. So there we go. I don't know exactly when it'll happen, but I feel that it will happen. All right. I hear a lot of anti-vaxxers and anti-maskers comparing to mandates to wear a mask and vaccine mandates. They compare it to Nazi Germany. They compare it to the Holocaust. How can they even begin to compare it to the Holocaust? I mean, the Holocaust took place 80 years ago in Nazi Germany, and Nazi Germany perpetuated hatred, blaming others, xenophobia. How can they compare a mask mandate or a vaccine mandate to a regime 80 years ago that rounded up innocent people, innocent Jewish people, innocent LGBTQ people, Romas, Poles, that rounded them up without due process and for no reason whatsoever, sent them to concentration camps and starved them to death, gassed them, and murdered them? How can anybody compare wearing a mask or a mask mandate to that? I don't get it. A lot of them are saying also that the mask mandates and the vaccine mandates are communist. Oh, really? Have you ever studied communism? Not. It's not that at all. I don't know if you've ever visited a former communist country. I have. And trust me, when you see the repression and the way people were treated, asking people to wear a mask to protect yourself and others against a deadly virus is not communist, it's not socialist, and it's not Nazistic. I heard a Holocaust survivor talk on the radio this morning, and he said that he never thought that he would see that happen in this country. And what he did say is that a lot of things that are happening nowadays in this country with Trump, the anarchy, the xenophobia, here again, blaming others, that's what happened in Nazi Germany during the time that the Nazis were coming to power. You know, rumor has it that Trump read a copy of Mein Kampf. In German, that means my struggles. And Hitler wrote that when he was in jail because he tried to overturn the government. And when he got out, he succeeded. So it seems as if Trump is or was using many of the top techniques that Hitler used to come to power. So if you're going to compare wearing a mask to Nazi Germany, wrong. I think what you need to do is look at what's going on in the Republican Party, not all Republicans, but the Trumplicans, and see the likenesses of how that relates to how Hitler came to power. It's also kind of what's going on as Trump wants the anarchy. He wants the dissension. He wants people to fight against each other because then he can say he can come in and fix it. I've never seen the country going through this either, and I'll be 68 next month. But I asked my guides if Trump will be successful, or that faction of the Republican Party, and they come back for a while, it'll seem as if they're winning, but they will not win. They will not win. And once again, I ask about the integrity of our democracy. And my guides assure me that our democracy will hold up. So I just want to ease everybody's mind on that. You know, my uncles fought in World War II to protect our democracy and to protect us from people like the Hitlers and the Trumps of the world. So what's going on now with the Trumplicans is not democracy. It's promoting authoritarianism, it's promoting dictatorship. And it's fueled by Trump's lies. It's fueled by him creating anarchy and division. And it's fueled by his tainted hands trying to get tried to get into every institution of this country, including the Supreme Court. So here again, for a while, it'll look as if he succeeds, but he won't. So, Kevin said on my show that he felt a big rift in the Republican Party. So it'll split off. There'll be the Trumplicans and then some Republicans over here. And I see that too, but I keep seeing a new party coming into play as well. One more for the middle class and progressive. And I think they'll gain steam really quickly. I've done my research and I looked at a lot of what was going on in this country before the Civil War. And it seems like a lot of what was happening now were a lot of the same issues that were occurring before the Civil War. And when you have people talk, like Marjorie Taylor Greene, almost indicating that Republican states should secede from the Union. She didn't quite say it that way, but kind of study up on it. You'll see what I'm talking about. I think we are kind of having a bloodless civil war right now, but I asked my guys if it would go into a full-fledged civil war, and they say no. But, we're going to have our challenges. And then I love what Biden said, and this is kind of, let me find it here. Biden said that much of what's going to be happening during the midterms and all this dissension is being set up by the Republicans, some of them anyway, to alter the outcome of the election coming up. And he is correct. I mean, they've already conspired to overturn an election. And would you believe that the Republicans criticized Biden for that? But yet they go along with Trump's big lie saying that the election that put Biden in office was rigged and it was fraudulent. The double standards, the hypocrisy, it just blows me away. It never ceases to amaze me. What's happened to honesty and integrity and dignity within the Republican Party? I mean, if somebody like Trump can cause it to change that quickly, it makes you kind of question what was there in the first place. I mean, there are a few bad Democrats too, but my guides show me that some semblance of honesty will at least come back to this country and to government. Yay. That's a yay. Boy, it just kind of gets deeper and deeper, doesn't it? Hi, I keep pausing so I can go through my notes. The mental pauses kind of cause me to have some senior moments. Okay, a lot of people want to know what'll happen with the voting rights bill. And I find it amazing that Mitch McConnell was against it. And Manchin was against it. Or no, Manchin said he's all about voting rights, but he doesn't want to stop the filibuster so that they would need 60 votes in the Senate to put it through. He knew that there was no way that they were going to get 60 votes. And it amazes me that Manchin and McConnell were all about voting rights in the past. I'm sorry. In fact, I think Manchin helped write one of the voting rights bills. So I just, people ask whose pocket that they're in, at least Manchin. And Sinema, that's another thing, that the Democratic Party censured her in Arizona. I mean, she hasn't voted one thing for the Democrats. And, I've said this on other shows, I got to say it again, because I ask if they're in somebody's pocket. And my spirit guides show me a butt with pockets. And in one pocket, Manchin was looking out, on the other pocket, Sinema was looking out. And on that rear end, it said Republican Party. So there we go. So I'm sure they're in somebody's pocket. And in fact, Sinema attended a fundraiser hosted by the GOPs for her, by the Republicans for her. So she's up for re-election, I think in 2024, but I don't see it. But I don't think she cares. I think she's going to use this as a platform to do other stuff, probably be a commentator on some media outlet. But my husband thinks that she's a plant. I don't know about that, but I do know that she's siding with the Republicans. Not that, it was, I get that people see things differently, but everything for voting rights, for all kinds of other stuff, for the Build Back Better, oh no, she didn't want that. So a lot of that's going to come out too, that under the table, there were donations made to her to stop some of this legislation we're talking about. So there we go. People are asking about what will happen to Marjorie Taylor Greene. I see her voted out of office. So goodbye, Marjorie. Okay, I'm going to start getting to some of your questions. So somebody asked if any of the individuals who signed false voter documents in swing states suffer any legal or criminal problems, or will nothing happen. I don't know about that, but what I do see is those people that sent in those fake electoral votes, pretending to be the electors, but they signed their real name. They're going to come to justice, and I see the indictments there for fraud and for interfering with an election. So anyway, let me take a look here. I'm going through this. Okay. Oh, I understand that the Department of Justice in Georgia, I don't know if it's Department of Justice, but or the Attorney General is going to convene a grand jury to try to look at the evidence with Trump trying to coerce officials there to add extra votes so Trump could win. And I see a grand jury convening down there. They might try to block it, some of the Republicans, but I see it convening, and it's not going to be good for Trump. I do see him indicted on a lot of things, but I just never saw him going to jail. So, okay. Jenny wants to know, do you think we'll ever get off our dependency on oil and gas? And will there ever be environmentally friendly cars? I don't think it's a question, Jenny, of will we? I think it's a question of we have no choice to stop this runaway climate change. So I do see a lot more green energies, technologies coming through. My guides show me that there's a lot of breakthroughs coming with battery technology so that you can get a longer run for your electric vehicles. And I think that Build Back Better bill, that will go through in little pieces, but it will go through. And so will the voting rights bill. That'll go through as well. I thought that, well, it might be after the midterms. I don't know how they'll do it, but I got a funny feeling the Democrats are going to figure out a way, another way in the back door, if you will, to get that. They might do it through reconciliation, but to get that voting right bill passed. Anyway, I'm skipping around, my ADD's kicking in. But back to the question about more energy efficiency, the answer is yes. And I think a lot of that's going to come through with the Build Back Better bill, because I see the other part of that passing, but in smaller segments, but it will pass, which will create jobs in charging stations and more money appropriated for exploration into better battery technology and green technologies. So, and we'll see that coming within the next 4 or 5 years, a lot of that coming to fruition. So good. All right. Let me take a look here. Somebody asked about a keto diet and if that's healthy. I'm not a physician, but I personally don't think the keto diet is healthy, because you're eating all meat and it kind of puts your body into something called ketoacidosis. That's why it's called the keto diet. And that's really not good for your body. I have coronary artery disease, so I cannot eat a lot of fat food or a lot of, I've got to watch my fat grams and my cholesterol. So you can lose weight, but I still don't think it's any good. For me, the best diet's Mediterranean because you eat like fish and salads and healthy foods. So I think that's the best diet, is just to eat healthy foods and organic if you can. Okay. Let me see here. Will Chuck Grassley be indicted regarding his planning on January the 6th? Morrissey asked. I see an indictment there. The answer to that is yes. I don't know if he'll go to jail, but I see an indictment there. It says he was next in line if Pence and Pelosi were out, and on January 5th, he announced Pence would not be available to certify. He walked this back later as he was not supposed to let the cat out of the bag. Well, my guides show me, and as I said earlier in this video, that a lot of what's going to come out with these papers being sent to the January 6th commission, a lot's going to come out. And I see some stuff coming out about Grassley as well. So that's how I'm looking at it. Okay, LC Mac asked if we do a missing person segment on the channel in the future. If somebody goes missing and if a family calls me, I'll take a look at it. I never go public with it. Now, in some cases, if it's a nationally known case, then I'll take a look at it. But I just don't want to intrude on anyone's privacy or anything like that. So, if it's a national case, then I'll take a look at it. But as far as just, looking at cases where there's individuals gone missing and, the family's wanting to know what happened, they can call me personally. I'll look at it, but I don't like to go public with it. Okay. Oh, this is a good one. I think I've answered this before, but this is Jamie. Will Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas have to step down from his position due to the findings of his wife's involvement in funding the January 6th insurrection? I see a lot more investigation coming out about Jenny Thomas and dark money and all of that, and her involvement in the January 6th thing, and some of the political action committees she's on, because she was a very, I want to say, staunch Trump supporter. And some of the stuff she lobbied for went to the Supreme Court, and Clarence Thomas should have recused himself, and he did not. I don't think there's any law that he had to, but it was certainly, in my perspective, unethical. And I talked about this on Linda's show today. I do see that there is going to be legislation coming out to say that the Supreme Court justice, a rule of ethics, and that if it's a conflict of interest, they have to conflict themselves out. It'll be the same ethics that other judges have to follow. I don't think that they should be above the law either. But I don't see Clarence Thomas on the court. Now, I don't know if that's because he steps down or if he leaves because of illness. But I still see more justices on the court, moderate, and that aren't going to be partisan. And so when these judges say that they're not partisan, that bell's my BS bell. They certainly are. And so I see changes coming to the court for the positive, which brings me to Roe v. Wade. A lot of people are asking, will Roe v. Wade be overturned? I see it being stripped down just to a point where it almost is. But here again, at some point, I see more justices on the court. And at some point, Roe v. Wade will go to that court, and the court will uphold women's right to choose and will uphold Roe v. Wade like it was before they started stripping it down, and would say that these states with these draconian laws for terminating a pregnancy are unconstitutional. This court won't do it, but I see another court that will. And it's not going to take 30 years like some people think. I think it's going to happen. These new justices are coming relatively soon. So, you know, about the only thing I can say good about this court is that they did say that, you know, Trump's attempt to block the commission from getting the documents from the National Archives, he couldn't do that. So that's about the only good thing that's come out of this court, the Trumpsters on the court. Letitia James, the New York Attorney General, said that there was doing the investigation of Trump and his business found significant evidence suggesting fraud. I do see Trump Jr. is going to be called to testify about dealings that may have been fraudulent. And I don't think he can ignore a subpoena from the state of New York. If he does, he's going to be in trouble. So a lot's going to come out about that. So, you know, I see the voting rights legislation going through at some point, Build Back Better, all of the above. And a lot more coming out on Trump too. All right. Let me take a look. Barb wants to know, what Devin Nunes be indicted for criminal activity he did for Trump in the US and in the Ukraine. I see him under investigation. I think Trump is going to use Nunes as a patsy because Nunes resigned, and he's going to supposedly be in charge of the CEO of Trump's new company, media company or something. Well, that's going to last about as long as a snowball in Hades. And I'm seeing that Nunes is going to be in a lot of trouble. I think also that company of Trump's is already under securities exchange investigation, but when Nunes goes on board there's going to be a lot of other stuff that comes out. And I think Trump is going to try to use Nunes as a fall guy. So anywho, okay. Let me take a look here. I'm sorry, I'm just looking. Okay, so people are also asking about, let me see here, I lost my place. Oh, people are also asking about I'm sorry, I was stammering. I lost my place there for a second. I was like, needed to regroup. Okay. Mitch Rowe asked, what is going on with longtime Trump Organization Chief Financial Officer Weisselberg? Has he already cooperated, flipped, or just in hiding? I don't think he's flipped yet, but my guides show me a coin and it's just in the air turning. Okay. And it means to me that he hasn't flipped yet. Right now, it seems like inertia, but they have a lot on him. And I see that, you know, New York is going to be questioning him. And I see the feds questioning him as well, twofold. Now, I also think at some point, Letitia James is going to work with federal prosecutors or the federal government regarding a lot of this fraud that happened in the Trump Organization. So I think they're doing civil lawsuits, but they're also going to do criminal investigation and indictment. So, you know, Weisselberg, she says, actually in German it's Weisselberg. I don't think he's flipped yet, but at some point, I feel he will. All right. Cheryl asked if we could shed some light on the future of Missouri politics. Josh Hawley. I see Josh voted out at some point. And there's going to be a lot that comes out about him. A lot of negativity. I'm just wondering if the January 6th commission might bring something to light on him. And at some point, I think it will. Uh, I don't know. It might be a while before Missouri, if they'll ever turn blue, but at some point I see it turning purple. I think, Eric Greitens or Greitens, however pronounce his name, they're saying he thinks he's going to make a comeback. I don't see that at all. So, people in Missouri, answer is get out there and vote. So, which brings me to SCOTUS again, that people, Texas is already denying mail-in ballots that I don't know, some kind of, I forgot exactly what it was, but that they're denying mail-in ballots based on some kind of, I forget how it goes, social security number or something. And it's almost making it impossible for people to vote. Now I've shown my little joke here a couple times on when I did it with Kaylin on Linda's show today, but this is my rendition of a Texas ballot. You see, but I see a lot of what's happening is some people in those states filing lawsuits that'll go to the Supreme Court. And even though this, in my opinion, this Supreme Court is partisan, I think they're going to say that you cannot restrict people's rights to vote. And you can't, you just can't do that. So a lot of what these states are doing based on Trump's big lie are making their voting laws more draconian and just difficult for people because it's the Republicans' way of really what they're thinking legally cheating so they can win the elections. But I think the court's going to say that you cannot mess with their rights to vote. Or if it goes to the Supreme Court, then lower courts would say you can't mess with people's right to vote. And then the Supreme Court wouldn't hear it. They would just knock it back down to a lower court. So these states are not going to succeed at all. Now, a lot of people might use that to say, well, then we don't need the voting rights bill. Yes, we do. And I see really strict legislation, that would say you cannot restrict people's rights to vote. You just can't. So at least that's one good thing that might come out of this. We'll hope. By the way, I've just heard that the Supreme Court has its lowest approval rating in the history of the United States. And people are speaking up saying that it's overly politicized and it's got to change. So we shall see. Okay. I see this supermajority ending, the supermajority of these ultra-right Republicans that are on the court. I see that supermajority ending. Okay. Once again, here's one. Ron Johnson, will he win or lose the Senate seat in Wisconsin? It says he entered the race, but the only ads that this person sees running against him is Prince Charming's mom, is the person who asked this question. Is that the only ads that this person can see running against him? Let's see, is that he's a solid Trumper. Yeah, some of his advice on COVID, I'm like, what planet was he on? I see him out of office. I don't know if it's this time around or next, but I see him gone. I think he thinks he can run for higher political office, but if he does, I don't think he's going to win. Anyway, so just to ease your minds, our democracy will survive. If Democrats get out and start speaking up and just get everybody out to vote, we can keep the House and the Senate during the midterms. Biden's approval ratings are low right now. I don't think that's bothering President Biden so much. I see his approval ratings coming up, up, up. Still, they're not as bad as what Trump's were. And I think the dissension in this country and the polarization is going to get worse before it gets better. That's what a lot of people on the Republican side want. But here again, I see a lot of strong leaders coming that are independent and Democrat, and a few good Republican ones as well, that'll stand up and say, we've had enough of this polarization. Let's work together. And so it's going to take us a long time to heal, but we will. I go back to what Ruth Bader Ginsburg showed me, and when she crossed over, the vision she gave me. And it was this little bright, almost like a speck of light in all this darkness, and it was just barely shining. And the light got brighter and brighter and pushed the darkness back. And then the darkness kept pushing the light, and it seemed like the light dimmed and got dimmer and dimmer and dimmer, almost as if it was going to go out, but it didn't. It kept getting brighter and brighter, and it would push back the darkness, and then the darkness would push back on the light. But each time the light got brighter and brighter and brighter. My guides tell me that that was Ruth's way of showing me what's going on in this country. The light meaning the truth. The light meaning those of us who stand up for equality, acceptance, a woman's right to choose, equality, fairness in voting. So the light will win. The light will win. Now, one more thing Linda asked today about affirmative action. Will the Supreme Court overturn affirmative action? And I think they will rule against affirmative action, but just because that happens, it won't stay there. Remember, I see, and I'll hope that I'm wrong on that, by the way, the affirmative action thing. But remember, I see new justices on the court. And then at some point, if affirmative action goes to court, it'll be reinstated. So here again, just because it looks as if certain elements are winning the battle, it doesn't mean they'll win the war. So I look forward to our next show. And everybody, please subscribe. And when I get to 14,000, I will once again give away 3 free 1/2-hour sessions. All right. Thank you for putting up with my rambling and my ADD, but it's always a pleasure. And I wish all of you the best. And from me to you, namaste, stay well. And if you're in a cold climate, stay warm. All right. Bye-bye.